Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. In today's video, I'll be doing a whole bunch of maintenance and upgrades to my 1956 Ford Crown Victoria. I've already uploaded one video on this car. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, I've got the link down in the description below. I've always wanted something from the 1950s, especially the late 50s, because it was such an iconic period of automotive design. You had all sorts of crazy things and innovations going on. It was just a really cool time. And this car, I found it for sale locally and it fit the bill with what I was looking for, just the right looks and the right colors. I love this thing. But word to the wise, one of the worst things you can do with a classic car like this is just to let it sit for long periods of time. Seals start drying out, rubber starts drying out, and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, this car ended up needing a lot more piddly maintenance work than what I was expecting, but it has been a labor of love. Just, nothing crazy, just a lot of leaks, a lot of gaskets needing to be replaced, and so on and so forth. So I've actually been working on this car in my little bits of free time from doing the car reviews and working on the other builds, and basically just trying to get it up to speed and modernize it a little bit to improve drivability, reliability, and just get it to the point where I could daily drive this if I want to. Now, when I first bought the Fairlane, I did all of the basic maintenance stuff. I changed some gaskets, did an oil change, plugs and wires, yada yada yada. But now I'm actually going to take a big leap forward by installing a Holley Sniper fuel injection system. Now, if you haven't had any dealings with the Sniper system before, they are awesome. It's actually a self-learning fuel injection system, and they're relatively easy to install. Follow the instructions to a T, make a handful of wire connections, get your fuel system plumbed up, and you're pretty much ready to go. This is actually the same system that I originally had on my S10 when I had the small block 355 before going down the LS swap route. So I'm really looking forward to repurposing this system on the Fairlane, getting rid of any and all possibilities of vapor lock, improving performance, and it's an awesome system, and I'll dive more into the specifics when I actually get to throw it on the engine. If you've ever had a project vehicle, you've probably said to yourself at some point, while I'm in there, I might as well do this or do that, and that's exactly what I'll be doing in this video. Along with installing the Sniper system, I've got this ready-to-run MSD distributor and ignition system, which is actually really cool. It's going to replace the original points and condenser system, so we're going to get better performance and better reliability out of that, but it actually incorporates an ignition module into the distributor itself, so there's no external box that has to be hooked up like a digital 6AL unit. And of course, I'll talk about that more a little bit later in the video as well. But I'll be redoing the entire fuel system because I'll be installing a return line for the Sniper system, and it's just kind of crusty in general. So we're going to make all of that pretty. But what I'm most excited about probably is trying to cosmetically freshen the motor itself. Whenever I'm doing any kind of invasive project, I want everything that I touch to look better than it did before I touched it. So instead of just swapping everything out and doing it the easiest way possible, I'm going to go further, pull all the brackets, the intake, the valley pan, clean everything up, repaint everything. It's going to look spectacular. There's also a whole bunch of other things I'll be doing throughout this video. It's a long list. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. With the top side of the motor looking factory fresh, it's time to start putting everything back together so I can install the new distributor and the sniper system. I went ahead and media blasted the intake, the hold down clamps, and the thermostat housing so they could be as clean as possible for the best paint job possible to match everything else. And as you guys will see, it turned out fantastic. But I also decided to do a little upgrade here. Instead of keeping the stock stamped steel valley pan, I'm going to replace it with a cast aluminum valley pan. Now what's nice about this thing is that it's perfectly milled on the bottom, so instead of replacing the gasket with another cork gasket, which is a porous material, I can actually use an RTV gasket. So it's going to seal a whole lot better. It's going to keep it sealed much longer than a cork gasket would, which is going to keep the engine bay looking nice for years to come. Plus, it has a PCV valve or provision built in, so that's pretty cool. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the best features of this distributor I'll be installing is that it features an ignition module that's built into the billet aluminum housing, so it doesn't require an external MSD Ignition control box. The module produces a high-energy 7.5 amp single spark for more consistent performance. The housing itself is actually 5/8 of an inch smaller in diameter than the stock Ford distributor. The best advantage this has over the stock distributor is rather than points, which require periodic adjustments and cleaning, there's a maintenance-free magnetic pickup and precision reluctor that creates stable trigger signals throughout the RPM range. After making sure the distributor is set back in the engine correctly, it's connected with only 3 wires. There's a bunch of other cool features too, including a built-in rev limiter. The distributor also offers an easy-to-adjust mechanical advance assembly. Chromoly weights move smoothly on nylon pads, and different advanced springs and stop bushings are supplied so you can custom tailor a timing curve to match your engine's requirements. A vacuum advance canister is included for improved economy, but it can be locked out if desired. The mechanical advance assembly can also be locked out if you're using a crank trigger system. Of course, there's a lot more to these distributors, so be sure to check out the link I have in the description box to learn more. Being that I just can't leave well enough alone, I really didn't need to drop the fuel tank to do this. I'm basically going to tap into a couple of existing holes in the fuel tank for my feed and return lines. I just wanted to make everything look a little bit better. So I dropped the fuel tank, cleaned the entire underside of the car, got rid of all the dirt and grime and everything, and sprayed some bed liner, repainted everything so it looks amazing. Even though nobody else will ever see it, I know I did a good job. But the tank looks like brand new now. I gave it a good thorough respray because whenever the car was redone, they got some overspray on it, and that just bothered the heck out of me. But no longer, it is perfect. So I've got to make all of my fuel lines. I'm going to end up running AN lines from the tank all the way up to the Sniper unit. I've got some adapter fittings and everything like that, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. But now let's go ahead and get the Sniper itself installed, so then I can start routing all of the fuel lines. For those who haven't messed with Holley's Sniper EFI system, it's a pretty sweet setup. The unit I'm installing can actually support up to 650 horsepower thanks to 4 100 pound/hour injectors. While it may sound overkill for this motor, I was mainly interested in improving drivability. I won't have to worry about cold start issues, vapor lock, or flooding. It's an extremely versatile unit that offers dual bolt patterns for a direct carburetor replacement. This car has the early style intake manifold for an old school Holley 4000 carburetor, so I had to run an adapter plate to convert the mounting flange to the more common 4150 style. In its basic configuration, there's only 4 wiring connections needed for Sniper to work: battery positive and negative, switched ignition, and an RPM signal. The throttle body itself combines an ECU, an internal fuel pressure regulator, a throttle position sensor, and an idle air control valve. Real-time fuel map learning is provided thanks to a Bosch LSU 4.9 wideband oxygen sensor. An included clamp-on flange allows easy installation of the oxygen sensor to your existing exhaust system, no welder required. Depending on your ignition system, the Sniper integrates ignition timing control and coil driver systems too. In addition to the basic wiring, you can also use the included accessory harness to control additional things with the Sniper unit, such as electric fans. Once everything's hooked up in the engine bay, you can run the included color touchscreen inside wherever it makes the most sense for you. It allows you to access initial setup, tuning, gauge displays, data logging, and more. With the simple calibration wizard, you simply answer a few questions about your engine and it creates the base map. As you run the vehicle and drive it, Sniper will begin tuning on its own once the vehicle is up to operating temperature. While a laptop can be hooked up for more in-depth tuning and software access, it is not required. One thing on my long list of things to do to this car was replace the tires. They were really starting to show their age with indications of dry rot and uneven wearing. When it comes to old tires, you can't be too careful, so before I get this project buttoned up, I wanted to install some fresh rubber. That being said, I didn't want to just throw on any old tires. I contacted Diamondback Classic Radials because they're one of the last manufacturers of legitimate white wall tires, and in my opinion their quality is second to none. They offer tires for anyone's budget, and the process of creating them is fascinating to say the least. On a car like this, white walls are a must. If you're building a crazy resto mod but still want a classic look, they're also well known for building custom tires for pretty much any application, including custom colors, not just white walls. In the midst of filming this video, my wife and I went to Diamondback's headquarters to pick up the tires and get a tour of their facility. It was amazing to see just how much work goes into design and production. I just finished installing a set of their Auburn Deluxe radials on a 56 Thunderbird, which feature a pie crust edge, a square tread shoulder, and a period correct tread pattern. They look like old school bias ply tires, but feature the technology and performance of a modern radial tire. They're brand new radial molds, not a reproduction of an outdated tire, designed for 40s, 50s, and early 60s vehicles. They also have all of the appropriate nomenclature on the sidewall and range in sizes between 5.60-15 and 7.50-16. If you weren't concerned with the period correct look, there's plenty of other options to choose from. For that, the first step in manufacturing is taking a new off-the-shelf tire and buffing off all of the lettering and designs. In other words, they remove the cosmetic portion of the tire's face to prepare the surface to accept a proprietary rubber compound and butyl liner before the next step, which is vulcanization. Through a combination of heat, pressure, and time, they're able to permanently bond the color you specify to the tire and add a substantial amount of additional material, so the tire is able to maintain its beauty for years without the risk of discoloration or deterioration. After this process, with the tire in its raw state so to speak, it's mounted on a hub where the color and tire is then buffed to perfection. They also shine a laser light on the tires to make sure there are no inherent defects, such as high and low spots or any blemishes. The blue product that's sprayed on the tire is a water-soluble protectant that's easily washed off once you receive it. As an extra layer of protectant, Diamondback also wraps their tires in plastic and cardboard to ensure the tires arrive to you without accidental shipping damage. A huge thanks to Diamondback for showing us around. The Fairlane's tires look incredible. The white is as vivid as can be and perfectly complements the car. Now it's time to fire it up, hear how she sounds, and take it on a quick test drive. When you turn the power on, the fuel pump will cycle and prime the Sniper unit. Once it cuts off, crank it up. everyone, here we go. This is awesome. Man, what a difference. This thing has turned out so good. Now all that's left to do is drive it, because like I said, the Sniper is a self-learning fuel injection system. So as I drive, the more I drive, it'll fine-tune itself to my driving habits, and it'll just keep getting better and better and better. It's just an amazing piece of technology. I like that little screen, you know, where I got it mounted underneath the dash. It's not intrusive. It doesn't take away from the dash or any of the aesthetics, like that kind of stuff, but I can easily glance down between the steering wheel and check on, like, you know, the important things like digital temperature readout and the air fuel ratio and so on and so forth. I actually ended up replacing all of the shocks. I put adjustable air shocks on the back, so with the Continental kit being a little bit more weight over the tail end of the car, I'm able to bring it up just a tick and give it a little bit of a better stance, so that worked out really nice. With the new shocks, the car rides a whole lot better than it did. The shocks that were on it before were wore plumb out. But anyway, I fixed a bunch of leaks. I ended up doing a transmission service, so got fresh fluid and a fresh filter in that to replace the transmission tail shaft seal, changed out the rear end fluid, did an oil change, replaced the power steering lines, made new transmission cooler lines, and I'm probably forgetting some other things. Just a lot of piddly things. This car is downright perfect. All of the factory gauges are working, including the temperature gauge. I can keep an eye on everything. I mean, it is really important to me when I'm doing projects like this to try to make the car way better than it was when I first touched it, and I absolutely achieved that. There is not a burned out bulb. There is not one non-functioning feature on this entire car. And it's so much fun. Like, if you've never driven something like this before, I really hope you get a chance to do so. It is so different from anything new, obviously. You know, the steering's sloppy, the body's like wafty all over the place, and you know, it's just different. It's old, 1956, but it's an experience that you just can't duplicate with anything made in today's day and age. These glass packs sound really cool, and you know, seeing that big hood ornament and the headlight buckets sticking out past the hood, I mean, it's just awesome. It's like riding in a time machine. This car not only rides good, but it steers good, it shifts good. It just feels excellent. I am confident in saying that I could daily drive this if I wanted to at this point without worrying about a thing. That's the biggest hindrance to being able to fully enjoy something like this to its fullest potential. Reliability, different fuel grades, whether you're getting, you know, ethanol blended fuel versus non-ethanol, depending on how original the car is, that makes a big difference. But with the Holley Sniper system, I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. I can go get 93 regular, you know, 10% ethanol, blended pump gas, whatever, and there's no issue at all. I mean, it's just, there's no vapor lock chances. It's perfect. So along with the fuel system, upgrading everything else, and the fact that the car already had you know, power steering, disc brake conversion, power disc brakes, air conditioning, radio that I could put my phone into, it can't get much better than this. One of the other things I ended up doing was installing an electric fan in front of the AC condenser. Wasn't really super necessary, but I wanted to give it a little bit of extra cooling power just because I have the air conditioning system and still have a mechanical fan. And I can tell it's made a significant difference. Like driving it around and stuff, you know, I replaced the thermostat, I did a coolant flush and all that stuff too, but this thing has not gotten above 190 the entire time I've been driving it, and it's probably been about an hour now. It's 188 right now according to the Sniper screen. The fan is on, it's doing its thing, but if the fan wasn't on and it was cold outside but I still wanted to run the air conditioning, I've got the fan circuit tied in with the AC compressor kick, so as soon as I turn on the AC, the fan is going to automatically come on whether the car is up to temperature or not. So there are so many little things that I ended up doing off camera just to make this car better and better, and to, you know, affirm myself that I'm doing this car the best justice that I could. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all had as much fun with this as I did. Don't forget to leave a like down below because it really helps the videos a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing that too. And make sure that notification box is selected so you can get properly notified of all of the new uploads. Of course, there's always a lot more where that came from. See you guys on the next one. Take care.